You can do the peacock and the flower together, mix it up.
I like it.
Shifting.
Yeah.
More shape in the fingers, Jake.
Yes.
Got to really open them up.
Pull it back.
And just
Soft
keep your
gently.
posture.
Pull it away.
There we go.
Yeah.
Open it up like a
That's it.
peacock.
Do peacocks have hands?
Welcome to the Cultural Pulse Vodcast.
Cultural Pulse is a global micro-community tech company supporting organisations to engage micro-communities better.
Each episode will connect you with the pulse of what's actually happening in different micro-communities across Australia and New Zealand and get under the hood of cultural behaviours, perspectives and new experiences.
Stay updated with Cultural Pulse on our website, download our app and subscribe to our social channels.
Welcome everyone. We're here talking about Bollywood today, and we've got Jinnie here and Anisha and Jake.
Thanks, mate.
On our inaugural pilot show. We're exploring community and what happens out in communities, different cultural communities, different micro communities, and we're here in Sydney today to talk Bollywood. Jinnie, you've been part of the dance community in Australia for a long time now, and you've worked with some of the biggest global names, AR Rahman, Jay Sean. So really excited to talk to you today about, what is Bollywood, just exploring that from an Aussie Indian context. And Anisha, you've been dancing, you're third generation, is it?
Yeah, I'd say probably, third generation. Yeah.
Third generation, okay. So your parents have taken a wild route through Gujarat into the UK. Mauritius, was that a stop?
Via Tanzania and Kenya / Zambia.
Okay.
Then the UK, and then we landed in Brisbane.
Okay.
I'm already lost. You've been
Oh my
everywhere.
gosh, I've been around the world.
And so you're an avid dancer, and you're involved in the dance circles here in Australia. So we're really keen to understand your perspective as a dancer and your experience as a dancer, and also third generation. And Jake, your experience of Bollywood?
Very minimal. Before, obviously, Reg and I are here from Cultural Pulse. Anisha, you've been a great employee of Cultural Pulse for many years as well. We should mention that. But before starting here, I think I had probably zero experience with Bollywood at all. But and now it's slightly lower. No. It's still very minimal. So I'm here to learn. I think.
What's your take on it? What have you?
From
observed?
what I see, I think all I'm really aware of is that Bollywood is this extravagant movie industry in India, which I see these incredible choreographed performances coming out of these movies, which I'm not watching that much of, but I see these amazing performances, and it always seems to be these massive groups of girls in this beautifully choreographed, elaborate outfits, doing the same moves, and there's a couple of people at the front who are leading it, whether it's the guy or girl leading it, and I've got no idea what's going on, but they're all doing really well.
Have you ever had?
Is that close? Am I even remotely close with that?
That's part of it, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But have you ever had the twinge to want to try yourself?
I think if I was there and if I was involved in the production or watching that, I'd be keen to get up and do it. But I feel like it's something you can't do on your own. But maybe I'm wrong. But it feels like it has to be a group activity. But I think it'd be great to get your guys' take on what is Bollywood.
Jinnie, do you want to go first, maybe?
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So Bollywood is the movie industry, of India, based in Mumbai. So back when Mumbai was referred to as Bombay, I still remember the day I went to the Indian store and I picked up a magazine and
Is
saw...
in Australia or?
In Sydney, yes,
Oh, yeah.
in Sydney. So this is sort of, prior to when Bollywood came about. So Bollywood actually didn't have that name Bollywood. It was just like the movie industry in Mumbai and Maharashtra. And, I saw Bollywood on the magazine. I'm like, oh, that was original. They combined Bombay and Hollywood and they came up with Bollywood. But, that's what everyone knows Bollywood to be, today. And it's larger than life with its, productions and 100 people sort of dancing in elaborate costumes and things like that. But I think it really brings together all the different cultures and regions of India in the one sort of platform.
Yeah, cool. We're going to talk about that and a little bit about the link to Australia as well. And it's good that you've brought up your experience because you've been involved in the last 20 years or so. So, I mean, what's the link between cinema then and dance? So, because people talk about Bollywood dancing, does that mean it's dancing that's related to cinema or only related to cinema? Or where's the line between, say, traditional dance or an Indian dance and Bollywood dance? What's the difference?
I think like throughout the years, storytelling has been so important to a lot of like Indian different, like the regions, you know, like back in the day before cinema was even a thing, you know, we used to tell stories through song and dance. And I think that kind of has like moved through and progressed and has become such an integral part of Bollywood. And I think that's probably where that line connects in a way. And I think it doesn't have to be through cinema. Like Bollywood itself is a genre, but we perform Bollywood at events because it's fun and it's lively and we can make people laugh and smile, and we can also make people feel sad and emotional, and it's like telling that emotion through dance. So cinema is definitely one way of like showing that, but also it doesn't have to be. Like Bollywood is much larger than cinema itself, definitely.
Does Bollywood dance tell a story itself? Like if you took a dance sequence out of a film and then had it by itself, could you understand the story?
I don't think the individual songs necessarily sum up what the actual story is about. There are a lot of songs that are put into movies just for the, I guess, the effect or just having an entertainment value. So it's not necessarily in line with the story. So, you know, they give a name to this specific genre of song called item songs, which are completely irrelevant to what the actual story is about, but it's just more about that, you know, that glamour and entertainment value and to market the actual movie itself. So yeah, taking individual songs out of a movie doesn't necessarily, I guess, sum up the,
story.
I actually don't watch most of the movies, so I don't have the time for it. That's the truth. So I just pick and choose songs that, you know, I resonate with or that's trending and that's, you know, fun, and just kind of have put my own spin on it.
I was keen to know how you guys got started with Bollywood dance. Was it a family thing? You know, obviously there's a lot of inspiration from the movies, but was it a movie? Was it a moment?
To be honest, much like Jinnie, I never really watched Bollywood movies when I was growing up. It was just an extracurricular activity that my mum forced me to sign up for. And I loved going to it. I didn't love going to it.
How old were you at the time?
I think I was probably 10 when I first started. So it's been over 10 years now, but I started and I just enjoyed going and like going to classes and seeing my friends every Saturday for an hour. But I think that kind of developed into being able to dance with my friends and then performing with my friends. And then I guess like me moving to Sydney, continuing that like love of dance and wanting to perform, and then meeting some amazing people. So I think my inspiration so much isn't so much like because I love Bollywood movies. It's more so because I've found kind of like my tribe, and it's people with like-minded interests who really enjoy just dancing and being able to express ourselves through song.
Yeah, that's great. Jinnie?
So my journey with dance was, my mum was a dancer, so she was my first teacher, and so I started at age 5. So I started my training with her, but I think it's a bit of like a rite of passage for all Indian girls to, you know, learn Indian dance as a way of being connected to your roots and your heritage. And yeah, that's just, I guess, it stayed with me. That's a bond that we both shared, and hence I'm continuing her legacy with, you know, Nupur Dance Group, you know, today. So
do you see that as well? When obviously now you're a teacher, you got the dance school. Do you see a lot of young girls coming in with their mums? And is that sort of culture continuing and that sort of inspiration from their mum?
Yeah, I think it's sort of 50-50. There are some students where they're sort of being forced by their mum to attend, and you can see, you know, on their faces when they're sort of walking into the class, you know, very shy and awkward and, you know, not wanting to open up, but then, you know, slowly, you know, break the ice. But then there are those who choose to, you know, learn Indian dance to, I guess, you know, meet like-minded people, like Anisha said, and stay connected, you know, to the roots. It's a way of, but I think it's 50-50.
So a lot of the girls that are coming in are probably born in Australia. What do you observe what do they pick up about Indian culture, do you think, by being there?
I think, again, you know, if they haven't sort of visited India or have much dealings with in the community, it's they learn about the history, the roots of like where they came from, because I don't teach just Indian students. There are people from like different South Asian backgrounds, from Bangladesh, from Sri Lanka, there's Malaysian Indians, Singapore Indians, and how they sort of fit into the puzzle and sort of their identity. So, and it's great to see that they all, I guess, mesh together, and they don't see themselves as, oh, I'm from, South India or only from North India, and that, I guess, that segregation's like not there. And I think that's what sort of dancing, yeah.
And is this like secret South Asian women's business, or like can men come along, or even people from other cultures? What have you observed about this over the years?
Bollywood dancing is not just for females, like like Jack was saying. It's men do it as well. They get into the costumes. It's 100 of them like dancing in the background, in the lead. So it's not gender specific. It's definitely open to men and women both. But I think a lot of boys or men here have that stigma that Bollywood dancing is for females only. But I think that trend is slowly kind of breaking, because you are seeing more and more, I guess, boys, the next generation of boys, getting involved in Bollywood dancing and being proud of that.
Do the young boys look up to like the big Bollywood male stars in the same way that the females do?
Oh, absolutely. They're idolise. Absolutely. So, like Hrithik Roshan and Salman Khan, they're dressing like them, they're getting haircuts like them, and,
I might go in and ask for the
You want the old Hrithik, do you?
Yeah.
So how many students would you have had through Nupur Dance Academy? And tell us a bit about your school.
So Nupur was actually founded by my mum in 1998. So as much as a trained Bharatanatyam dancer, and so I'm sort of carrying on that legacy now, and moving forward, evolving with the times of mixing, I guess, the traditional and the more modern genres of of dancing. So we've taught sort of hundreds of students and dancers, like over the years. So, and it's great that I can call them our extended families, dance family, as we'd refer to our tribe. And Anisha's part of that dance family.
Sure.
Yeah.
And do you still work with your mum still? Is she still dancing?
No, she recently passed away. So I'm definitely carrying on that legacy. But she was definitely dancing in her last days. We used to choreograph together, and she would be my biggest critic. Every time I do a performance, she'd have, I'm like, okay, Mum, let me have it. So, give me your feedback, on this. So, this is what you did well, and okay, but then you could have done this better.
Jinnie's mum used to come to our rehearsals, and like she would sit in the back and she'd help like provide feedback, and she was like a little support, like our little cheerleader.
Yeah.
As well. Very cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it should always have food ready.
Does dance have that kind of ancestral, like in music, say in Hindustani classical or whatever, you might teach your kids that, and there's like a family of singers, like traditionally speaking, and it gets passed down. Was dance like that, and is dance still like that?
Yeah,
to
I
what
think.
extent?
Yeah, I think so. I think whether it's whether it's singing or music composition or dance, I think it's got that generation, that bond where it runs in the family. So there are quite a few groups that share that legacy, but I think it's it's beautiful that you can connect different generations through that medium.
Because you guys are Bengali, right?
Yes.
So you guys are like known for music and arts and
the
Gupta period,
Tagore,
in the 1500s or the 1600s, and the poets and So is that a history, like even on your mum's side, all the way through her side, or was that something she picked up separately? Or?
Oh no, she was an avid fan of Tagore and the Bengali classical dancing. And although I'm proud of my Bengali roots, I never really connected with I guess the Bengali Tagore music. I mean, I do appreciate his work and all that he's, I guess, given to the performing arts. But then I kind of
So he's a guy that wrote the national anthem, like wrote the lyrics for it.
It's a noble laureate, so very, very prominent figure. So but I kind of I guess went towards, the Bollywood side, where, it was more like glamorous and fun, but then also, and I had classical training in Odissi as well. So I kind of,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so Odissi is another form of Indian classical dance, so from the state of Orissa. So I guess it's an offshoot of Bharatanatyam, but it's a little bit, I guess, softer.
And how's your Bengali then?
Well, it depends who you ask. I think it's pretty good considering
Not bad.
it's considering I don't speak it on
The
a
big test
daily
is when the census-
daily basis, but
When the census form comes in,
Yeah.
do you
Ticking that
tick
box.
Bengali as a language or not?
as a secondary language that I speak, yeah.
Okay.
So
All right. So you're one of the 55,000 Bengali
I can speak Benglish. I Benglish pretty well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my forte.
Let's blend two
Yeah,
languages
yeah.
and it becomes its own thing.
So Nisha, really interested in your journey as well, and you mentioned dance when you moved to Brisbane, and it's a social thing for you. But I'm kind of curious about, what you've learned culturally through that.
Yeah.
Because you were born,
So I was born in the UK,
yeah,
and I moved to...
in it,
Pardon?
in it.
In it, yeah. In it. And then I moved to Brisbane when I was 6. So very much grew up in like Western kind of countries. So I think previous to dancing, or even actually when I started dancing, I think a lot of my friends would call me a coconut. So like, it's like brown
Which
on the
friends
outside,
would
but
call you that?
white on the inside.
The other coconuts.
The other coconuts. Yeah. It was just
So it was a friendly
Nobody
term.
else says the word coconut.
No,
Except
yeah.
the coconuts.
Well, I'm checking.
But I think when I started, or when I continued through high school and I kept doing Bollywood dancing, I started meeting, I developed really strong friendships with people who were a lot more connected to their Indian roots than I was at the time. And I would see them and they'd be like so into Bollywood, like watching Bollywood movies and, singing the songs and like speaking the language. I can't speak the language at all. I'm Gujarati and I can barely understand it. But I think seeing my friends like have that connection made me want to also have that connection. And then throughout the years, when I moved to Sydney, I developed really strong friendships with some like Tamil and Malayalam speakers, and they had had an even more evolved kind of relationship with that culture. And I think I developed an even stronger kind of relationship with my own culture through that as well. And so dance is my way of connecting back, and even though I can't understand what I'm like listening to, and I think it's just a good way of understanding different people, like the different regions of India. I had really like barely any idea about the different types of languages and cultures and in India. I was very
It's almost as diverse as Logan in Brisbane.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up in Logan, right?
close to Logan.
So how did you navigate this kind of, Aussie? Was it through the friends? Was it?
Yeah, definitely through the friends. Like trying to navigate that dual identity was really hard for me. I think I didn't want to associate myself with like the Indian side of me, because it's like, ugh, it's like, no.
It's not cool.
Yeah, it's not cool. Like no one really speaks my language. I can't take.
I'm pretty sure they don't speak Gujarati.
Yeah, exactly.
Too much in Logan, but we'll check.
Yeah, it was definitely through friends and like dance as well. I think that's definitely my key connection point. And then when I went to India for the first time, end of last year, it was like super exciting for me, because we went to Mumbai, home of Bollywood, and it was a point in like where I was like, I really want to be able to connect and do something that I really enjoy. And I did like a dance class with Team Nach, like with all of these Indians who I could connect to because they all love dance. And it was like, I feel more Indian than I ever have, just because we have this like point or like common interest, I guess. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I find that with football a lot of the time, with soccer. It's a world game, and I remember.
You feel more Indian when you.
Not necessarily Indian. That was the example. The example I was going to give was that I was just in Costa Rica when I was like 15 or whatever, and not speaking Spanish or whatever, but I could walk down the street and there was kids kicking a soccer ball and they'd kick it to me and then I'd kick it back with them, and you could sort of interact and become as part of the community just through the sport. Or it's a language that can cross over apart from the verbal communication. So it's
The world
it's a
game.
similar art form. Yeah, the world game.
In terms of dance, Dal has really,
This is style.
Dal, yeah.
Dal, and it's one of
Dal
Aishwarya
was
Rai at her prime when she came out of being, winning the Miss World.
This was this set in Kerala? This one?
I'm not quite sure where it was.
Bit of rain and greenery.
Yeah, they're typically dancing in the rain and wearing the white. This.
So typical.
Even
of this
till
period.
today,
Yeah.
this kind of look, you see a lot of girls, I guess, emulating the whole
Definitely.
dancing in the rain with I believe AR Rahman composed a lot of these songs. He's just an absolute musical
can
maestro.
you tell us about your experience with him? Like what?
That was definitely one of the highlights, of my dancing career, is to be able to share a stage with him, and how it was so phenomenal. So it was in 2010 that he's been to Sydney quite a few times for concerts, but this particular concert, it was during a time when there was a lot of unrest between, the Indian students and, that fight that broke out, and that whole racial tension that was,
the
so
violence that happened on the
that's so
train
front and
then-
centre, and the New South Wales government actually invited AR Rahman down to, to Sydney to do a concert. There was 80,000 people that gathered in Parramatta Park, which was phenomenal. People literally slept out from the night because it was a free concert. So, for people to attend and to come and watch. And I was contacted by his manager while I was actually traveling overseas, at the time, and it was sort of 3 weeks out. And we're like, hey, we're coming to do a concert. We'd love to have some local, dancers getting involved. And so we're just going to put this crazy, performance with 24 dancers, a drop of a hat, trying to coordinate everything. Wow. And it was chaos, backstage. But, when it sort of came together, sharing that stage with, AR Rahman was absolutely, phenomenal. And I said, thank you so much for this opportunity. And he's like, no, thank you. And I'm like, wow. AR Rahman thanking me, it was surreal. But just seeing him, sing and play so many different, instruments from the piano to the sitar, and his the singers that he brought with him and his orchestra, it was just mind-blowing. It was a mind-blowing production.
Not a lot of people can say they've shared a stage with
AR
Rahman.
yeah, but I think that was one of his most
Or
memorable,
performed in front of 80,000 people.
yeah.
That's
incredible.
Yeah, so it was just it was just a phenomenal experience, to be a part of. I mean, we were exhausted by the end of it, but we were just running on adrenaline, and just that atmosphere, and just being in his presence was surreal. Nice. Surreal experience. And I don't think there's really been any music composer that's sort of come up to his his level of his talent and humility. So
He's a great singer as well.
Yeah,
The
you
songs
see,
that he's sung
he does it all. He does it all. So and
he's probably revolutionised modern contemporary Indian music.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was definitely a moment in history for me in my dancing career for sure. So yeah.
Jay Sean, you love Jay Sean.
Oh yes, Jay Sean. I forgot to add
go?
an angle about the God. That's another. So Jay Sean, I guess when him and Jaggi, were rising, at that time, it wasn't very common for people outside of Bollywood, to, I guess, compose music. And what Jay Sean, Jaggi D and the Rishi Rich project did well was combine, I guess, the two cultures, the Indian and, our Western culture together, which, I guess, as, second, third generation of Indians could identify really, well with. And I had, the privilege of being able to, share a stage with, Jay Sean when this was, prior to him sort of, I guess, blowing up with the Sony contract. And, he was so popular. People didn't really actually know outside the Indian community who Jay Sean, was till he got that Sony contract. And
Down came out.
Yeah.
That was his big breakthrough.
Which one, sorry?
Down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not going to sing it.
Okay. But yeah, I remember from the Rishi Rich project, and people just loved it. They just ate it up, and then he kind of left that sort of, this is one of my that favorite tracks. Yeah. You probably wouldn't remember this one, Anisha. Back
I
then.
do.
You
I
do remember
remember
this
this
one?
one,
Yeah. You don't remember this one, Reggie? Yeah. You don't remember this track?
I don't
You don't know
really
this one?
follow him a lot
No?
at the time. Yeah.
And it's great. He's managed to reinvent the wheel as well and stay quite relevant. You know, he
Yeah,
obviously
it's
went into the whole like R&B and you know, also like did a bit of dance music. But you know, again, he's released a recent track called Nakre, which is, you know, coming back to you know, with the Rishi Rich project, and it's a great fusion of you know, the Indian and the Western like pop culture, and then bringing that together. And so I'm really sort of feeling that song right now, like. You know, with everything that's happening with, you know, Bollywood, I think a lot of people are moving to these types of artists like Jay Sean. Then you have people like Vidya Vox, you know, Arjun, you know, Rockstar, who, you know, like I guess, you know,
They're like
they do Indian
combining
rap,
their
combining,
identities. Yeah, it's really
which
cool.
is great to see,
Yeah.
and that is coming up, you know, in a big way. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm just like really like feeling this new track Nakre at the moment. So it's super
listen.
cool. Yeah.
Maybe that's our outro.
Yeah.
Where did you film this?
Little India in, I don't know. Looks like Little India, doesn't it? Yeah. India groceries.
Yeah, have a look on the map.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a massive chain.
Yeah?
Uh,
That's Kajol, so she was another sweetheart actress of India, of Bollywood. So this is like, you know, them frolicking in the fields, right?
that's a cool video clip.
Yeah, it's really cute. I would love to see an emergence of like a Bollywood theme park in Australia, actually, like they have in Dubai.
Oh yeah.
They had the Dubai Parks, Bollywood theme park, which I visited.
They should change Australia's Wonderland.
Yeah, honestly, I
was
think
Wet n
like
Wild now,
it would be
is it?
amazing. Yeah, we need a Bollywood theme park in Australia, I feel. So
A Bollywood water theme
I have
park.
so many.
I'm not sure
Indians
about
don't
that.
swim.
Yeah, but it's such a great concept. You know, when I visited there, it was just like, you know, you just kind of get all your senses, like, you know, like the food, the music, and everything just
Yeah.
like comes together like in the one.
The carnival theme.
Yeah.
I see Bollywood dance as like a combination of a whole bunch of different styles of dance. But, you know, whether it's, I remember seeing one clip where they're breaking out into like these hip hop sort of break dancing
Yeah.
type moves.
Yeah.
But is there you know, a structure behind that? Is it you know, it needs to be a certain amount of different styles, or is it always just a combination, or there's classical and traditional?
So Bollywood originated from classical, like Indian dance. So Bharatanatyam is probably the oldest, I would say, form of Indian classical dance. You have a few others like Kathak and Odissi and Kuchipudi. But over the years, a lot of different genres have meshed into Bollywood, like you mentioned, hip hop. Then you have belly dancing. You know, there's salsa, there's Bollywood contemporary, but Bolly hop, which is the Bollywood hip hop, is probably the most popular style that has really sort of skyrocketed in the last few years. It's particularly with Indians who reside, I believe, outside of India. So bringing that, you know, that pop culture and, you know, that Indian culture, you know, combining the two. So wouldn't you agree, Anisha?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Like
Yeah.
a lot of the styles that Jinnie does at Nupur is very much Bolly hop, and then you see it in movies and you want to dance to that because it's fun. It's like, you know, upbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see, I think, just in the music industry as well, that sort of
Yeah.
crossed over. And you see a lot of the Western artists adopting, whether it's just an influence, or they're collaborating with big stars. And, you know, you see that a lot of time. I think it was Jay-Z and the Pussycat Dolls were doing that.
Yeah.
Jai-Ho.
Jai-Ho, correct. That's right. Yeah, Jai-Ho is like...
Jai-Ho, not
That's...
Jai-Ho.
Close enough.
But yeah, I think the rise of dance influences also around the world has also I guess, shifted the style of like Bollywood, what Bollywood, is today. So, you have YouTube like sensations such as, Sonali Baduria and, Anisha Baba and Poonam and Priyanka. There's so many, out there that, I guess has really reshaped what Bollywood dancing and style sort of is all about. Yeah.
And probably more for you, Jinnie, like in Australia, have there been any sort of pioneers for Bollywood dance or the dance revolution that's happened here and more involvement with Bollywood? Has anyone sort of led that you've seen, or different members of the community that, particular age groups or, anyone that's been involved in the community here?
There are so many established dance groups in Australia now, it's particularly in the last sort of 5 to 10 years with, I guess, the influx of, immigration, of Indians. But 2 dance groups that sort of, for me, that stand out that I feel have paved the way and have elevated the industry. And I've had the pleasure of working with them, I would say, is the Indian Dance School. Again, they combine the Western and the traditional genre really, really well, and they've been in the scene for quite some time. And also a group called Dance Masala, which Anisha was also a part of in Brisbane. Yeah.
So what makes them stand out for you from all the dancing you've seen?
I think, the leaders, the founders of those dance group, I mean, you can tell their passion and their energy is just on another level. But again, I believe they've evolved with the time and have elevated the industry with certain projects that they've taken on, the style of choreography, that they, put out there. The Dance Masala, I think last year they, brought down one of the biggest dance influencers, Sonali Baduria, and we've got to, I guess, have that platform where, to bring the best of the best dancers around Australia, together, and just creating those types of activities and momentum.
So what's the peak event in Australia for Bollywood dance? Is there a competition? Is there a series of competitions? Is it state-based? Tell us a little bit about the structure of how it plays out here.
There are so many.
I don't know if there's like one event in particular. Recently, Instagram account Bollyoz has started doing a national Bollywood competition, and I think that's one kind of pioneering event of that kind, but that doesn't mean that there weren't events previous to that. Like there's the Telstra Bollywood dance competition in Melbourne, and that's like Dance Masala actually performed there last year, I believe. And then there's like all of the community events as well, like Diwali and I don't know, like India Independence Day. All of these events bring together this community of dancers who all want to showcase their work and perform to the wider community as well. Because
what's the crossover of like Bhangra and say Gidda with Bollywood dance? Because there's a little bit of Bhangra's in Bollywood as well. Is there a line or? Yeah,
again, so as I said, Bollywood kind of takes from different regions, of India as well. So you have influence of, Bhangra from like Punjab. Then you have, Dandiya and, from like Rajasthan, the folk dancing. And then you have the classical aspect from South. And, I think Bollywood takes from different regions of India and it promotes, I think, the different cultural aspects of India well. I think that's what brings Bollywood alive, and that's what's so popular in the community.
So it's a bit of a mashup.
It is a bit of a medley of like of the best of what Indian culture has to offer.
And how has that impacted during COVID? Because there's hundreds of dance schools around. How's that impacted dance schools, do you think?
As in the pandemic?
The pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously during quarantine, all face-to-face classes were, completely stopped. Our event side of things, which we're, quite busy, especially this time of the year, has drastically, reduced. During this time of the year, we at least prepping for at least 10 Diwali, events coming up, which is, which is so sad. And one of the biggest one is organised by Hindu Council of Australia. They don't just organise events in Sydney, but all around Australia. We have almost 20,000 people, showing up. Also, the CBA does a massive annual, gala, which, we've been quite privileged to be a part of. And so unfortunately, all that this year is not going ahead. Even Christmas parties, you get a lot of themed Bollywood Christmas parties that we get inquiries for weddings, so it's slowly, moving in the right direction. But definitely nowhere near what it was last year. Yeah.
Because you mentioned that you've done a lot of work with corporates
Yes.
as well,
Yeah.
with wellness programs
Correct.
and team building. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think in the last few years we've seen a big rise and demand in that space where, we've been called with companies such as, Google and Genworth and CBA and NAB, where they've, organised team activities, to, I guess, as a team bonding exercise. And it's worked so well because, people can get silly and you can just have a little bit of fun. And the good thing about Bollywood is you don't need to be a dancer. You can have 2 left feet and still have a good time. So, it's just a great time, like all around. Yeah.
That'd be cool to actually do CBA versus NAB versus ANZ. And then the best team wins.
Bank dance troops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you put out a challenge, I think Cultural Pulse challenge of, which corporation gets their best Bollywood on, yeah?
A question just back on dance and Australia, focusing back.
Yeah.
So where does Australia sit in terms of its dance? Like you said, the diaspora are carrying a lot of that culture to kind of keep that culture alive through dance. Where does Australia sit, do you see? And you've done some work with Jay Sean, you've done some work with AR Rahman, Apache Indian. Where do we sit in terms of talent, expression, and is there any have you had any experience with other countries?
With connecting with dance, I think, again, with the social, media has been a great platform to connect so many creatives, under the one sort of umbrella. So, as I mentioned earlier, the rise of such prominent dance influencers who visited, Australia and conducted, workshops here. We've got like B-Funk from US that's come here, Anisha Bubber, who's, really big in the Bolly hop, space. There's been Sonali Bhaduria, a massive dance influencer, from India that have come and conducted, workshops and sort of brought, so many dancers from different backgrounds sort of under the one umbrella. Whereas Australia is always a bit of an afterthought because we're just so isolated from the world. So I think that has kind of bridged that gap, a little bit more. And it's great that we have a bit more of a collaborative approach, whether it's with dance schools or amongst dancers, whereas before I felt it was a bit more of a competition kind of environment. It's like if you're, from another dance school, or you can't, they're the enemy, you can't speak to them, it was kind of one of those types of that kind of culture that was being, bred, back in the days, where I think that has sort of shed a little bit now is a much more collaborative approach. And, I'm a big advocate for my dancers to go and do training with, different, teachers and styles and grow as artists, themselves. So I think, it's a lot of, I guess, trending in the right direction. Yeah.
Jinnie, what's next for you?
We have quite a few events in the pipeline, but it's sad that usually this time last year, we're preparing for so many Diwali events. Diwali is coming up, next month. So, we do always performance with the Hindu Council of Australia, who organise such amazing annual Diwali events, and the CBA Gala, also, which we're going to really miss this year. But we have a few Christmas and wedding events, that are coming up. I think the restrictions have now moved from I believe 120 to about 300 people being able to attend, weddings.
So half of an Indian wedding.
Yeah.
More like a third.
Just one side.
Yeah. I think the one positive about the numbers being restricted on the wedding front is people are focusing more, I guess, on the quality of the guests and spending more money on, entertainment and other aspects instead of, head count and having to, invite 50 people from the one family.
I thought you meant the quality of the guests, as in you only choose the good quality guests.
No, as in I'm talking. No.
Sorry, Auntie.
No, as in the quality of the
Sorry, third
relationship
cousin,
that you sort of have, with people, rather than just, out of obligation having to invite 200 people that you barely, speak to or interact with,
Sure.
But the wedding side of things that, picking up, a lot, Christmas is around the corner. So, we get a lot of, again, the corporates celebrating Christmas parties and, having the workshops and things. So, but content creation has also been a very big focus. And I think a lot of dancers out there are putting a lot of time and effort into that, which is great to get to see their creativity. Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes back to your question before about where Australia sits.
Yeah.
We were so far removed, and now social media has provided this like platform for us to connect. And I think we've watched America do their thing. We watched the UK do their thing with like Bollywood or like Bhangra in the UK in particular. And now I think dancers are seeing that and they like want to be part of that community, and this is like a global platform now where people can connect and we can collaborate. And throughout COVID as well, like Sonali is a good example. She has done collaborations with people across the world, and it's just been like through video, because you can dance with somebody. It doesn't have to be in person, but it can be like you dance at the same time and you create this like amazing
duet.
piece. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just put Australia on the map on that
for
front in terms of the Bollywood and Indian dance entertainment. So, and I think we're still a little bit, I would say, I guess behind in terms of having those prominent figures, dance influences. But I think that the next wave, I think you'll definitely see us up there. Yeah.
Quick question, actually. Melbourne, Sydney. How's the
Who's better?
Melbourne Sydney battle?
Who does it better?
Bollywood dance.
Sydney, of course.
We need to get
course.
a
Sorry,
Melbourne
Melbourne
rebuttal.
friends.
Right of response from Melbourne.
But Melbourne's
next
got
show.
the fastest growing Indian community, and biggest now.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think they're maybe probably on equal grounds. Yeah.
Diplomatic answer.
In the spirit of collaborating and promoting Australian Indian talent, so I would say Melbourne and Sydney are pretty much on par.
I've seen some really good videos and stuff come at Studio J, like for example, and some of the videos that come out and the different styles, and seeing lots of different communities, get involved.
Yeah.
And feeling comfortable to get involved, and the mashup between styles. It's really kind of a creative space, isn't it?
Yeah. I think, obviously because Sydney, I would say, is a more mature market in terms of that entertainment space. I think a lot of, the events take place in Sydney for that reason, because it's such a big hub. Like you mentioned, like, Bolly Oz had the competition, but also ZTV, which is a very massive, brand, they also launched, a competition. And they do a lot of other, activities and events, based in Sydney as well. So, although obviously, Melbourne, Brisbane, they have emerging talent, I would still say Sydney.
You mentioned talking about Bollywood as an exercise or a health option for people. I was thinking about the older generation. I know my mother-in-law loves doing Zumba, things like that. How could whether it's someone over the age of 50, partake in Bollywood?
Bollywood is not restricted to any age. You can, from kids to people in their 60s and 70s learn Bollywood. So we have classes that actually cater for, adults, for ladies and men. I've had even, I guess, men in the 50s and 60s who have made inquiries to have, private lessons just for fitness purposes, because they don't, necessarily want to go to the gym. I'm not a gym fan personally myself, hence I'd rather do 20 hours of dancing than spend that time in the gym. That's just me. It's not restricted to any age, and it's a great de-stress outlet for me. Specifically, it just really helps you to zone out and just really be in the moment. That's one thing that helps me, just to disconnect from everything and all the noise around me. So I think it's great for having a healthy lifestyle, and but you have to try it yourself. We have to give a demonstration so you can actually
definitely.
feel
We'll get into that later.
effects.
Are we doing the?
Well, there's different types. So, I'm still unsure of which one I should be doing. I know you mentioned Bolly Hop. But what's fusion?
Try a bit of everything.
Is
I
fusion a bit of everything?
I think Bollywood is fusion.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like
Fusion of the regional styles that you were talking about?
regional, and then also Western styles like
Oh,
hip
okay.
hop. And,
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one big hot pot.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
it's kind of a living and breathing thing, yeah?
For sure.
Yeah.
Bollywood
It's
in
always
the 60s
evolving.
is different to Bollywood in the 80s. Is
Absolutely.
different to,
Yeah.
So it keeps
Evolving.
taking from popular culture.
Definitely. Yeah.
Do you see kind of the South American dance styles mixed with any Bollywood?
Yeah, we have. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
Bollywood salsa.
Salsa.
Yeah,
You
Bollywood
mentioned
salsa.
that
Yeah, I mean, JLo, she is one of the, I guess,
She Puerto Rican?
producers.
No,
Mexican, isn't she?
No, she's not Mexican.
No?
She might be Puerto
I think she's Puerto
Yeah.
Rican. Yeah.
Puerto Rican.
Okay, we'll just cut you. I'm like a big fan of hers. I should know. Love JLo, my woman crush
Is she Puerto
crush
Rican?
all day, every day.
Yeah.
I
Tag her
mean,
into a post on
I
this.
mean, hello, she's 50 plus and look at her, she's going
Yeah.
stronger.
Stunning.
Like, if that's not evidence of what dance can, do for you,
Good advocate.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Bollywood is Bollywood contemporary. There's Bolly hop. There's Bolly and belly. The Indian Arabian flavors very, very popular as well. So Bollywood is very popular in the Middle Eastern culture. We do a lot of in Afghan weddings and interracial weddings. For like Lebanese and Indians, and they just love it. It's so well received.
geez.
Yeah,
That'd be a big wedding, Lebanese Indian wedding.
big fat Indian wedding, big fat Lebanese weddings.
Are there songs that have the Arabic style?
Oh yeah.
Do you choose certain songs based on that as
There
well?
are specific songs in Bollywood that actually have that Arabian flavour, such as Dilbar, and you've got songs like Mashallah and, Maya Maya. So we do get a lot of requests, from clients that, can you curate a performance that's, like Indian Arabian or a bit more Bolly hop or, so, it's great to be able to, customise, and, be versatile in our approach. Keeps things fun and interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So I'm just
Can you give
now
that a bit of a
curious.
try about Mashallah? Yeah.
Did you find it?
I love the dumbek, the sound of the dumbek.
Yeah.
This is a good song.
I keep
Do you remember the
getting
routine,
these
Anisha?
eToro ads.
Yeah.
So good. This is my favourite.
Like the Mashallah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely a
This entire performance that we did was really
yeah.
Oh,
So
there we go.
there we go. So this is like
Right.
this is the
Yeah.
Bollywood Arabian touch.
Like we're in Morocco.
Yeah, a lot of filming happens overseas, so destination shoots are very, very popular.
I'm loving the pink scarf.
That's Katrina Kaif, another one of my favourite actresses, and you also have
Salman.
India's heartthrob Salman Khan.
Oh, that beat is hot. I
Heartthrob.
love it.
Well, not so
Yeah,
much.
not
Maybe
so-
anymore. Maybe not right now.
Is he part of that group?
No, he's just not a,
He's what?
Is
not a very nice person.
oh, is it part of the promoting nepotism? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Producer as well.
I thought we boycotted this.
See, I enjoy watching the songs. See, I haven't seen this movie. Like most of the
Yeah.
movies, I haven't seen. It's only a handful. I mean, it's 3 hours of your life you can't get back if it's a movie. It's terrible.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah, give that a go.
There you go.
Oh, Jakey.
Add a little bit
I
of
like
body
it.
rolls. Yeah. You're a
okay.
natural. There we go. See, you're getting into.
Should have BYO'd pink scarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get your wife to, play the role of Katrina. Yeah.
Katrina? Is that Katrina?
Katrina Kaif. Yeah.
Is she half?
She's half Indian, and I'm not quite sure of what her other half is,
Some
actually.
Anglo background.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Sure. Didn't think
She's from
Katrina was a
America.
big Indian name.
Katrina Kaif,
Yeah.
yeah. She's half Indian, and I'm not quite sure if it's from UK or
I think she
Somewhere
grew
in-
up in America.
in the States.
Yeah.
It's a lot of very basic movements that you can do.
It is,
This
but
one they
it's
could have
just
done better.
it's just a lot of the songs that they have one hook step,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's just the
Yeah.
special
Yeah.
effects and the 100 people in the background and the interaction between the hero and the heroine. So yeah, so that's the Bollywood Arabian style.
They've got the little automated voice as well, the California Love.
Yeah. And the whole lip syncing, a lot of people didn't
Yeah,
understand the whole concept of the lip syncing, when I used to tell some of my friends in high school, oh, I'm going to see a concert and seeing this actor or actress, it's dance, and, they're like, what do you mean, actor and actress, they dance? What does that mean? Like they couldn't understand the concept of them, dancing and lip syncing, and it was so sort of,
It's just so
second nature.
integral.
Yeah.
to Bollywood.
Yeah. And until you actually watch it,
Yeah,
it's difficult to explain
for
that
sure.
concept. because in the Western genre you have, you know, the singers, and then you just have, you know, like the movie stars.
Yeah, and then the dancers are completely separate.
A bit of belly dancing there.
So weighing in on Katrina, what do you think?
Very impressive.
Yeah, very
Impressive. Gotta be tread the water here.
Yeah. What about you, Reg?
It's hot.
Yeah.
He seems a bit old for her, don't you think?
Oh yeah, he is very old. They actually used to date.
This story is about an uncle and a niece.
But you'll see that in Bollywood. You know,
So
you have someone who's, you know, 50 plus acting with someone
It's
who's
weird.
21.
Yeah.
It's you know,
Yeah, I feel like he could be a dad.
you see the females, you know, lead changing quite often, but you know the male lead kind of stays quite consistent. Yeah. Did you just call him a dad?
No, that's it. I feel like it could be a dad-daughter relationship.
Zaddy.
I'm sure he'd love to hear that. But that's true. I mean, like they're all, you know, all the A-listers, like, you know, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, Akshay Kumar, and, you know, they're all like in their 50s now. But still sort of acting with a lot of younger actresses who could be their daughter, actually, in fact. So so you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Look, you have to have a very thick skin to make it in the industry if you really want to be successful. But I've known people personally who have pursued that journey, and it's a very difficult journey. It does seem very, you know, glamorous on the outside, but because of the nepotism and everything that exists, it's not an easy journey to break into that industry. So dancing is definitely one aspect of pursuing your Bollywood dream, but, you know, you also have to pursue, you know, acting, and you have to be good at networking, and you know, you need to have a very strong sense of self-worth, because it's very easy to you know, for that to be, you know, sort of crushed, because you have millions of people. You're not just competing with people in India, but also competing with people from other parts of, you know, the world now, and not just people of Indian background. There are people who are coming in, you know, from other
Like Tanya Zayeda.
but a really, you know, big dancer who's made it really, you know, big, like Nora Fateh. She's from Morocco, doing amazingly, you know, well there. And then you've got, you know, people like Amy, I can't remember her surname, but she acted opposite Akshay Kumar in Singh's King 2. You know, very, and then you have Lauren Gottby. So I can't pronounce her surname properly. You know, who acted in, you know, ABCD, you know, 2. So I think you have to be multifaceted in your talent and your approach. You know, be a trained, you know, pursue dancing, pursue acting.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, you hear about people being triple threat all the time, but I feel like you almost have to be.
You have to be. You have to
be.
You have to have it. You have to have it all. You have to have it all. So, you know, and, you know, just get out there and expose yourself to as many different, you know, genres, and, you know, whether it's commercials or live performances, you know, don't put yourself in a one box, I would say. Don't limit yourself to one thing. So, yeah.
Put yourself out there. I think, you know, a lot of advice generally these days is people just, you know, they have access to film themselves or promote themselves.
Yeah,
know, that's one way to get feedback and improve yourself as well.
Yeah.
And then be comfortable with
in your own
sharing
skin,
what you're putting out there already.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, there's a lot of platforms, like I said, also a lot of beauty pageants here that have, you know, act as a gateway, you know, to that, you know, industry. So, you know, people are learning dancing, you know, entering these beauty pageants, and, you know, that kind of like brings that sort of all together. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many different dance styles in Australia. A lot of dance schools. We talked about salsa, samba, kizomba, all these new forms coming through. Where does Bollywood and its kind of machinations fit in comparison?
I think Bollywood now has definitely earned its place as a mainstream dance genre, whereas back in the days, people didn't really know too much about Bollywood. Things weren't as accessible, back then. Obviously salsa had their turn where that was the, thing to do. Zumba is obviously a prominent dance style, but then you have the combination of Bollywood Zumba. Bollywood Zumba is very, very, popular, nowadays as well. So it's being offered at gyms and there are classes. So I think it's definitely earned its place, up there, with salsa, with contemporary, with ballet, as I said, platforms and shows such as So You Thinking in Dance have recognised Bollywood as, a mainstream,
Does it work out a different part of your body?
Bollywood?
Compared to Zumba? Yeah, like...
I just think it depends on style of choreography. I think Bollywood works every muscle in your body and muscles you didn't even know existed.
You feel the next day.
If you're doing it right.
Where is that muscle?
Yeah, because
Belly.
you have to have, the stamina, you get the flexibility, it just, combines like agility, like so many things,
Cool.
So if people are teaching themselves at home, if I wanted to teach myself, what is my go-to song? If you've got to pick one song that I'm looking up and go, okay, this is the one for me.
I think we both know which one.
Do we? I
Should we play
we'll
it?
say it
Let's
together.
play it.
Okay,
I'll
let's
just
play.
wait for Jinnie.
Okay,
No, we'll be playing it.
Okay.
definite.
What's the song?
So it's called Aankh Mare.
Oh, of course.
Marie.
So AANKH
Okay, got that wrong.
and MARAY. So Aankh Mare means winking. Yeah.
It means winking.
Means winking.
Oh.
So it's a
1.9 billion views on YouTube.
There you go.
Okay.
Pretty big.
So yeah.
So what's the gist? What the wink is? Is it like flirtatious wink? It's not.
Yeah, it's a Bollywood.
so,
I think the whole, genre of Bollywood, it's, the boy and the love story between the boy and the girl, and and this is actually a remake of the popular song, which the boy's courting the girl, with the winks and
Jakey.
Quality moustache.
There's your Hrithik haircut.
yeah. So that's Ranveer Singh, a really popular.
Got a bit of a hip hop vibe.
You see
It
that
does.
Coffee with Karan guy?
Yeah, there's quite a few stars that's Saif Ali Khan's daughter.
So that might have been Bollywood
Sound as
Borat.
context.
Do you want this, Danny?
Oh, Jakey, I can see you in the singlet.
Yeah. Gonna have to show you some moves to this later, yeah?
I've got that nailed. It's popping and locking. I've got that.
So would you just select one dance, one little bit out of this and...
Yeah, so we can't really take about a minute and a half off each track and, really sort of punch out the moves, high energy moves. Yeah, so this is definitely a great track to, move and groove to get your Bollywood on.
Oh,
So,
look
like,
at
in
that.
the-
Lights around the body.
So like, how would you package this as one dance? Like, I can see there's all these little pockets of dance. Does it all come together as one sort of?
With Bollywood dancing, obviously in the movies they show 100 people in the background, and because it's the whole production, because it's in the cinema. But you don't have to be dancing in a group. You can do it, solo. You can do it with two people. You can do it with how many other people you want. So it's not really restricted to a group. Yeah, a group style dance. Yeah.
All right, I think me and the wife will have to have a go.
Yes. This is a great date night activity. Get your
Especially in
Bollywood on.
lockdown.
Yes.
We could TikTok.
Yeah. And it's a great cardio workout too.
yeah.
You won't need to go to the gym. So if you do about
You have to do the expressions.
very animated.
Yeah.
And next up, we're gonna have. You'll be seeing
No.
Jake and Reggie starring in a video clip. I think that's my challenge to them. So release date TBA. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I'll make it very easy. There's a couple of things that I teach kids in workshops that we do at school that I've named these moves so it's easy for them to take a handle on is the Indian dab, which is like, a bit of a takes us from the shoulders, the Indian dab, right? Get the shoulders moving.
It's
a bit like Bollywood Bhangra, right? Yeah.
Dabs.
And I call this other step the tandoori chicken step, which is like,
Oh, I like it.
yeah,
Chicken
doing a bit of,
tonight.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Basic.
Basic.
Amateur.
So, but you got the upper
Next
body.
video.
What's
Now you
advanced?
step it up a
What would
notch.
be an advanced move?
You got to use your legs too. You
Yeah.
can't just be
Yeah.
sitting
Yeah.
and dancing.
No,
it's
just
about
up.
hand and feet coordination. So you got to put the two
So
together.
there's no upper advanced move.
Oh.
What was that? What was that?
Oh, if you want to get technical with the
One of
hand
those
gestures
spasms.
and things, you've got like the peacock hands, right? The peacock
Okay.
hands,
Oh, yeah,
right?
there is that grip.
The flower.
And there's eye movement as well, yeah?
Yeah, you can do the peacock and the flower together, mix
okay.
it
I
up.
like it.
Shifting.
More
Yeah.
shape in the fingers, Jake.
Yes.
More
Got to really
shape,
open them up.
Pull it back.
And just
Soft
keep
way?
your
Gently.
Pull it
posture.
up.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Open it up like a
that's it.
peacock.
Do peacocks have hands? Okay, I think.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, okay. I guess.
Yeah.
Like flare it more.
Flare.
Yeah,
As
that's
if you're,
there. So you can
as
kind
if it's a
of.
mating call.
I said they're the feathers. I get you.
That's
Yeah,
right, the
you
tail of the
I was
peacock.
thinking that peacocks don't have hands. One takeaway I wanted out of this was if I want to watch one Bollywood movie,
Yeah,
which one should I watch?
that's a very difficult question. I think it's really hard to answer.
What are your top three then?
Haven't we written an article on this?
Those are romantic movies.
I think Bollywood movies have evolved a lot over the years. You had the typical Bollywood where it was all centered around, the love story of male and female. The boy pursues the girl and, they live happily ever after.
Boring.
Or
Gets
not.
rejected.
Or you have the love triangle and there's one person that loses out. And, but I think the storylines have, changed where they're incorporating a lot more, I guess, real life situations and scenarios in movies, today. But then you also have, period movies, you have epic productions that, depict our history, such as Bajirao Mastani, and Padmavat and
that's a great film.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, and Jodha Akbar, like those kind of epic period movies, that's so different.
So which was the one you said it's a great film?
Padmavat.
Padmavat, that was quite a controversial movie, but that's
But I think the highest grossing film is Dangal.
Yes, that was what we last saw, I think.
Yeah. So I think, and that's got a sport angle.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, I think
Kind
you'd
of along-
appreciate that.
Yeah, and along that lines is like Lagan as well, which is pretty old, but
Okay.
it's consistently
So
been
Dangal
a
and
great
Lagan.
movie. Yeah.
Okay. It's about the sisters that are wrestling. They're still wrestling today, I
Yeah.
think. They're
Yeah.
They won.
I still have yet to see that actually. Yeah,
amazing,
Yeah,
Good movie, yeah.
yeah. There's a few on the list that if you want to watch something, it just depends on I guess the
Have the same
mood.
sort of dance?
Does
No.
Dangal have?
Dangal
it
doesn't have dance.
Oh,
No.
I thought there was a village shot. No.
These period movies have dance, like
Yeah.
Bajirao Mastani, Padmavat. Also, an old classic that I really love that really launched Ashra Rai was Thal, which was, that was a really, really amazing production and I think that's still, and you have the classics such as Dil Wale Dulhania Mil Jayenge, the DDLJ, the classic love story of, Shah Rukh and Kajol, who are like the it, couple, and that's the Bollywood fairy tale that, they sell, which I bought into as well, but then I grew out of that quite quickly. But I think that's a real thing, the whole Bollywood fairy tale, that impacts a lot of young women and their perception of how a relationship should be. And, and I think that's a separate, obviously, conversation. But
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
an important topic as well.
but yeah, there's a few.
Next time on Cultural Pulse.
And young men too.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think young men, but I think more so women, like they just feel like, you know, your knight in shining armor is just going to come by and just sweep you
Yeah.
off your feet, and
Well, that
nothing
was the narrative for so
nothing will
many
ever go
years, yeah.
wrong, and they will just give you roses and chocolates for the rest of your life, and you're not going to have a single argument, and you know, and that's the Bollywood fairy tale. And you can have your Bollywood fairy tale, but you know, mixed with a bit of reality, I think.
I'm still holding my flowers and my chocolates.
Yeah.
Don't worry, still waiting.
You know, the grand gestures and, you know, the persistent pursuing and but yeah.
What's happening in Bollywood at the moment? I think there's seems to be a lot going on. I'm hearing about this boycott Bollywood, but what's it all about, Jinnie?
Yeah, so 2020 has been an interesting year to say the least on many fronts, but Bollywood has some interesting, I guess, going through some interesting changes at the moment. This year sadly saw the loss of a really prominent rising star named Sushant Singh Rajput. And he was actually not really from the celebrity family scene. The nepotism has been a very big issue in Bollywood for like a long, long time.
Right.
So it's unfortunate that it's so hard for new talent to break into Bollywood these days because of the level of nepotism that exists. And I guess Sushant, you know, was a glimmer of hope that, you know, new talent can break into Bollywood. But his passing sparked a massive outrage, with the fans, and not just in India but around the world. His death was made to look like a suicide, but after further investigation, now there's, I wouldn't say rumours, but there's actually a formal investigation in place where they're investigating it as a murder. And the rumours that are sort of like flying around is that there were certain people in the industry who were threatened by him and wanted to remove him as a competition. And, his fans are so outraged that, they're just #boycott, Bollywood. And it's just sparked a lot of outrage and fury. And, rightly so if that is true. I think the celebrity families have had it good for so long, and I think it's time for them to sort of share that spotlight and just pave the way in a positive way and let the next generation
Have there always been stories of that challenge of people trying to break into the industry and being shut out and being locked out?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think that the A-list stars who dominate the industry, such as the likes of Shah Rukh Khan, Akshay Kumar, Salman Khan, when they enter the industry, I mean, they actually didn't come from celebrity families, and they are where they are because they had that opportunity. So I find it, quite disappointing and sad that they can't, bring themselves to promote, new talent that's not outside of their family.
Yeah.
So it's sad that it had to go to this extent, for people to, I guess, stand up and speak out, against nepotism in this way. As sad and tragic as his loss is, I think it's going to pave the way for a lot of positive changes to come through for a lot of, I guess, independent filmmakers and new talent outside of the celebrity families to do some amazing things and showcase some amazing talent. So, we'll have to see, I guess, what happens in the future.
And the hashtag, what are people actually doing? They're saying they're not going to be watching these movies that involving these particular people.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Right.
So a lot of the movies that are coming out are not doing as well because people are literally, they're boycotting, Bollywood, and there's like really, really big, big names that are out there that, are struggling with their movies, coming out, from Alia Bhatt to Sonam Kapoor, Kareena Kapoor, and the list just goes, on and on. And these people were like worshipped like God. Literally, people idolize celebrities there, as like God. And for them to sort of flip and on the other end it's really remarkable to see that,
Do you think
happening.
That's sustainable? Do you think just over time people just, the power of Bollywood, the need for wanting to consume Bollywood content and entertainment will come back, and then this will be forgotten? Or do you think it's here to stay?
What's your take on that?
I don't know. Like, that's a hard question. I think people will always have the like issue of nepotism in the back of their minds. And I think like with this kind of awareness that has really grown in the last few months, it's going to be something that people are going to be more aware of. I think it'll give, like obviously like movies featuring like Alia Bhatt and I don't know, everyone else who is part of this kind of community of really powerful celebrities will always come out. They'll always produce these movies. People will go back to watch them, but I think it gives, I think you mentioned this before as well, it gives people who are more independent more of an opportunity to be like seen by like the wider community. And I think in India, people will be more open to going out and watching the movies that aren't featuring these really prominent actors. And I think, so yeah, I think they will still want to go back and watch these movies. It just won't be as, or they'll be more open to watching movies that are not as big.
And where's the protesting coming from? Is it like younger population, older populations who've been following these people for years? Is there any description about
of the
who's
demographic
actually resisting? Yeah,
I think I would say from teenagers to people in their 20s and 30s, 40s. I don't think there's a specific demographic. I think people are really, really touched by the passing of Sushant, because he touched a lot of fans, and he was at the peak of his career. And I think people in India are just, because obviously there's been battling so much corruption and so many challenges over there, and he presented like that glimmer of hope for them, for people to have the opportunity to kind of have a better life. So I think I think just across the board, people are just, outraged. And, I think there's a actress who has been speaking out about nepotism for quite some time, and she's, been getting a lot of backlash in the industry, is Gangna Rot. Yeah. So I really like her as an actress, and she's, again, she's another one has risen for outside of the celebrity family and has really made a name for herself. And as is Priyanka Chopra. She's one of my favourite actresses who's, I believe she's like conquered all. But it's so rare to see these types of stars emerging now, which is, a little bit, disappointing. And I hope this whole situation will now open up, the door for, I guess, other new talent. So we can see more of Priyanka Chopra and, likes of Gangna Rot, based on their merits rather than just being born into a celebrity family. Yeah. Cool. So interesting times. So yeah.
This may be completely wrong, but is there a Bollywood film industry in Australia? Like, is anyone trying to make? I know it's geographically that's incorrect, but is there like people trying to make Bollywood films in Australia? Yeah,
I know a few filmmakers that have produced movies here in Australia and US and UK. So again, coming back to that shift in Bollywood, I think you will see a lot more films being produced, Indian movies maybe outside of Bollywood. There's so much talent in Australia here.
Like Brett Lee?
Yeah.
Well, but he was going over there.
But even Tanya Zeta...
talent is questionable. Yeah. Have you seen his dance move?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Brett Lee did a movie.
Un-Indian,
correct. That's right. So Anupam Sharma, he's been a movie director and producer here. Yeah. And also Tanya Zeta. I'm sure she was the host of. Yeah. So she actually started in quite a prominent, movie in Bombay. So called Salam Namaste.
Yeah, that was set in Melbourne. Was
correct.
It?
Yeah.
There's a few great Ocean Road scenes. I think.
Yeah.
Tourism in Victoria got behind that one.
Yeah. So there's a lot of actually talented actresses that have gone over to India and acted in movies there. But I think there would be the opportunity for them to be able to, tap into the local talent here and produce Bollywood level, productions and movies. And I'm really excited about that, and I hope that takes off. So
Pallavi Sharda as well.
Pallavi Sharda. Yep. And you have Xenia, who was Miss India Australia in 2000 something. Don't count me on that, but yeah.
Look it up yourself.
And a good friend of mine, Vimala Rahman.
Oh yeah.
Who's been you know Vimala. Yeah. Went to school together, so now she's living in acting in in South Indian film over there. So she's another local talent. Yeah. So there's a lot of exciting things. I'm excited to see what what this, I guess, trend and what doors it opens up for us.
That's great.
Yeah.
Actually, on the point, Jake, about football, because sport has structure. There's a national sporting organisation and there's state sporting organisations, and there's a structure for participation and talent, etc. And it's something we've always talked about. The arts kind of fails in a way. I mean, there are some structures, but it's quite fragmented. I think if dance had a national dance association and then the state ones, and there was a participation flow, and you can really organise those peak competitions. Then I think it comes down to innovative individuals to create these scenarios.
To lead that.
And that's not always easy.
From a sporting perspective, you can always, there's a physical location of like a park or a field where you're walking around, you see, so you can always just go down there and join in generally, or at least you could start at your local level that way. But I feel there's probably, everyone would be a bit shy, probably knocking on a door of a dance studio to try and just, can I join in? Like whether you can join in down at the park and just bring your own ball. But I don't know, I think that's probably the challenge with the physical location.
But it's those national bodies or state bodies that are organising those competitions and putting the structure around it.
Yeah, I think
tennis, for example, doesn't have that, or has less of a grassroots. Actually, there is competition, isn't there? Tennis.
Yeah, there
Australia
is.
organises.
Yeah, I think it just depends. It's probably more challenging to find from the less participation, the less organised it is. Really, generally, you're finding it's more hard to find the right people to point you in the right direction. Where do I go? What do I do? So there's a few challenges.
Here, there's lots of participation potential.
Definitely.
It's more the structure is kind of fragmented, I think.
Bring it under the one umbrella.
Yeah, or even just imagine if the Australian Council for the Arts or whatever had a dance kind of strategy, and then part of that is not that you have to be under them, but just you enroll as a dance school, and then your feeder talent can come through, and I mean, I'm sure it may have been thought about or tried before, but it's something that I often think about, is that the arts lacks the structure that sports does, and sport is has so much structure to facilitate talent coming through and facilitate that.
I guess because sports, in terms of like the career, you have the high paid athletes, so people kind of I guess pursue that in a different way. I mean, dance. People who are full-time dancers do have the option to go to that level, but it's that path is just not as straight as, okay, I'm going, I can be a professional athlete versus a professional dancer. So obviously the remuneration is quite different for a professional athlete versus being a professional dancer. So I think perhaps that also has that incentive, and obviously the big the games and with the stadiums, I mean, also we have the concerts and productions, and I think media is probably more our space where that's your platform to to shine. So I think it's just a little bit,
and so many different styles as well. Samba, salsa. No, but you have
people like J-Lo, who have the world of dance, like the NBC world of dance, where it's great to see like Bollywood that's being recognised as a a style now. So you think you can dance, in Australia. So you have had Bollywood as a genre of dancing, whereas before Bollywood wasn't recognised as a mainstream genre of dancing, but it is being recognised as one now. So it's great to see.
It's really exciting to have you here today. The Indian community is growing massively. There's about 1 million Indians in Australia now, and one of the fastest growing communities. So I think Bollywood dance and Bollywood being a big part of the contemporary culture, it's just going to pick up a lot more. And what we're also seeing is a lot of Aussies of non-Indian background getting involved in Bollywood as well. So it's a great crossover in terms of culture. So it's great to have someone so experienced as you here talking to you about Bollywood dance. You've mixed it with the stars, which is great, and shared that experience. And Anisha, being a dancer yourself and your experience as a third generation Indian
Coconut.
your experience as well. And obviously,
No,
Jake,
you don't have to thank me. I'm always here.
no, but your perspective's interesting, you know, the kinds of questions, and it makes you really think, you know, when you grow up in the culture, there's a lot of questions that you just take for granted in a way. So
Yeah, that's really cool. I learned a lot. Definitely. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for having us today.
Yeah.